So I wanted to talk about how shame and ugliness are interrelated. And it can be on a physical level where if you have shame, you become ugly. And this can be things like acne. This can be things like all kinds of weird bodily issues that are a reflection of the shame energy present in your system. So if you release the shame, you can actually become prettier, or I guess in a guy's case, more handsome. And it's really interesting. You can become younger, you have less disease. The shame in your system, which to me is an entity, is actually like a sentient energy that lives in your system, has an instinct to survive, doesn't want to die, and will do everything possible to make sure that you keep feeling shame. So the shame in your system can even attract in experiences that reinforce for you the idea that you should feel shame. Like it might make someone that seems like a human walk up to you and say something really mean and cutting, saying things like, I don't think you belong here. Just really, really not nice things that really get to you. And so you're like, oh, I should feel shame, and you create a really good house for the shame energy. So if you have shame in your system, you might start to look bad on the outside. What's also interesting about this is if you have shame, you start to do ugly acts. You might start to gossip, which is an ugly act. You might actually need so much approval from the outside that you just seem ugly. Even if your face is pretty, you do ugly things. You might have a great relationship with someone, but since you don't believe in it or you don't believe that you're lovable, you start to do really stupid things to make them mad at you, to make them not trust you. So shame is the cause of a lot of ugliness, ugly behavior, and ugly facial features. And when you release the shame, a lot of things shift. And I would say that shame is a choice. A lot of people might think that shame is just an emotion and it's a regular emotion like all other kinds of emotions, but not in my opinion. In my opinion, shame is a mega, mega, mega psychic attack. Shame does not belong in your system. Do other creatures who don't have egos, do they ever experience shame? Does a tree ever experience shame? Does a dog ever experience shame? What I mean by that is like, oh no, the other dogs won't like me if I wear this dress, this kind of shame. No. Shame to me is a psychic attack always. It doesn't belong in your system because it causes death and disease and ugliness. Ugly behavior corrupts. It breaks trust. It breaks down boundaries and barriers and keeps people from being connected. So if you feel shame, you probably don't want to have intimacy because you're afraid of being rejected. So you reject other people first and you reject yourself first. This is not conducive to health on all the different levels of health. So as we know, beauty, like physical beauty, is a sign of health. Shame is not conducive to health, but also beauty in terms of interrelatedness, in terms of trusting relationships with surrender, authentic experience and presence. This is also beauty. And to me, this is not possible when there's shame. So in my opinion, which you can take or leave, if you feel shame, the first step is to not believe it. And this might sound kind of weird, but seriously, this is what I personally believe. If you feel shame, don't believe it. It's a psychic attack. Why? Because after shame comes all the other kinds of psychic attacks: guilt, anger, fear, sadness. So if you feel shame, you're creating a huge opening in your system for more bad things to occur. If you really stop the shame and go, you know what, I know I'm feeling the shame in my system right now, but it's not true. It's just not true. And a lot of people, if they're on a healing journey, they want to think that they're lovable and that everyone else on earth is lovable, right? Everyone's worthy of love, and shame goes against that. So do you see that shame doesn't really belong? It makes no sense. What do you think would happen if we gave a tree shame? Somehow we were able to give it shame. How would it start to act? Would it make friends with the other trees? Would it allow its roots to connect with the other trees? Would it take up enough nutrition from the soil and the air and the sun? Would it? Or would it start to deny itself connection, deny itself the ability to be seen, deny itself proper nutrition, right? That's a sick tree. That's a really sick tree. And that tree should not reproduce because it's just going to bring down that species of trees. So do you see how bad shame is? How contra to life shame is? So if you feel shame in your system, don't believe it. What do you want to tell that tree that has shame? Should it have shame? Of course not. Should you have shame? Of course not. Of course not. And any kind of behavior that comes from your shame will be ugly. And we don't want that because we want to be connected and we want to feel trust and we want to feel presence. And then we can have authentic experiences with each other, which is the most beautiful human thing. So I wanted to share that today. I hope you liked it. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.